want to do is I want to concentrate on gratitude through growth. Because to me, what I want to talk about today is connected to a beautiful phrase from our 12-step program. Actually, today and two more lectures after this are all based on this principle: the willingness to change and the willingness to grow. So we're going to be concentrating on that beautiful phrase this week and the next 2 weeks, starting with growth today. So we'll work in that direction. I kind of picked a nice little thing I posted on Facebook, I guess about a week ago. I want to share it as the meditation reading for today, because I think it fits right into our topic for today. I would like to share some thoughts from one of my meditation books, Until Today. I am willing to acknowledge that a mistake is a lesson in humility and a powerful healing opportunity. Yet for some strange reason, one of our greatest challenges is admitting to ourselves and others that we have made a mistake. I made a mistake. The simple statement is a powerful acknowledgement that there is a spiritual power in human weakness. A mistake is a great opportunity for learning and healing. A mistake reminds us that we are all human. It's a powerful lesson in humility. It's where we learn our limitations. And we grow in humility to a place where we can acknowledge, accept, and admit our mistakes. Then we will grow in compassion for ourselves and others and surrender healing our judgments. Today, God, I am willing to acknowledge and admit that I am human enough to make mistakes. Thank you, God, for always being a gentle teacher to me. I wanted to read that because when we talk about growth and we talk about growing as human beings, we have to learn a couple of basic things that I've learned in my own life too. That life doesn't always work in compartments. Yes, sometimes we kind of wish they would, but they don't. And I want to kind of just share this with you as a little bit of a theory. And it goes way back to Psychology 101. So let me take a couple of minutes and bore you with some theory, and then I will get into what I want to talk about today. But I love this thing. Believe it or not, if you study psychology, there's a diagram for how life is supposed to be. And the diagram, I don't know where they got it, but they put it together. The diagram is good, but the ages are kind of interesting. They say in the diagram that from ages 0 to 10 are called the foundation years, the years in which our basics and our fundamentals are given to us. Even most psychologists say that by the time you're 7 or 8 years old, all your traits, all your characteristics have been developed. And then from 10 to about 11 to about 13 or 14 is called a state of confusion, because we're going through a change process in life and we're going through a lot of confusion. We're going through a growth process, but at the same time, we're confused. Anywhere from 14 to about 20 is called the stage of conflict, because basically I have a nickname for it. I call it the war zone. It's basically when, as individuals, we have a conflict with our family systems and we battle them because we're battling what I call a sense of our independence. And then the next stage, they say, is from 21 to 26. And apparently, it's supposed to be the stage of independence. So believe it or not, you're supposed to be a totally independent person by the time you're 26 years old. And finally, from 26 to 120, it's called the stage of adulthood. You're supposed to be able to make commitments and do the things you are supposed to do. Well, I get a kick out of this because the process sounds good, but the ages sound a little bit ridiculous. Because we're human beings, and we're not in compartments. And so growth is a slow, gradual process we have a lot of gratitude for. But the gratitude teaches us that we have to learn patience. We have to learn to allow things to happen in God's time, not in our time. And to let things happen the way they're supposed to. I think one of the hardest things I've learned in my life, the two elements that really keep me away from growing, the two things I have to work on constantly, is the constantly wanting to control things. To me, control is a disease. The more I try to control something, the more I push it away. And secondly is fear, especially fear of the unknown. And so many of us are going through that right now. Go through the concept of what will things be like after this is over? What will things be like in the future? Will it be over? All these questions come into our mind, And sometimes it can drive us crazy and make us nuts. But it comes back to a simple principle that fear of the unknown doesn't work. Because if you live in fear of the unknown, you'll live in guilt, confusion, insanity, and craziness. I kind of like being sane. Being insane is not as much fun. So I realized today that I have to constantly work on releasing control. That develops a sense of faith, a sense of belief, and a sense of simplicity. And I share this with you because I truly believe that the most beautiful things in life are the simple things in life. And that life's going to throw you a lot of curves. Things are going to happen. You never know where they're going to come from when they arrive. Let me give you a couple of examples in my own life. Growing up as a child and growing up in the city of Camden, my mother was extremely protective and basically kept me like in my little cocoon. And literally, I was never really taught how to deal with life. I basically was kept in kind of a box, if you want to use the term, always protected, always kept safe. And then from there, my mother had a wonderful dream. She told me she wanted me to go into seminary. That was box number 2. So I went into the seminary and everything was protected. I wasn't exposed to the things in the world. And life was kind of in this little container and box. Then in 1966, I got ordained. When I got ordained, then that wonderful thing called reality set in. With all that being naive as hell and basically looking for the magic thing that people told me was what this was going to be all about, I went to my first parish and reality set in real quick because I was going to live in 3 years of insanity. And immediately I was thrown into the role of doing things I was not prepared to do. And I find this about life in general. I found myself because the gentleman I was going to live with had a serious alcohol problem and he wasn't around much. So all of a sudden I was running a parish. I had the slightest idea how to run a parish. But what I did for 3 years is run a parish, not knowing how to run a parish. And that's really ironical, and that's also comical too. But I got through it somehow. It's almost like every time we have to face things in life that we don't know how to face, somehow, some way, I believe through faith and through a belief, somehow, some way, we get the strength and we get the courage to be able to get through it and work through it. And that really pertains to all different areas of life. I remember when I got the assignment to be a prison chaplain when I was in Atlantic City, and everybody said to me and told me I was crazy. They stoked my fears. And of course, I had a fear of the unknown. I was never really inside a prison, what I was going to be doing inside that prison. And so one of the things I had to learn, which is the hardest thing in the world, dealing with fear, you have to walk through it. You have to let go of trying to control it. You got to walk through it. And the amazing part about it was once I walked through the fear, went into that prison, was I scared? I was scared out of my mind. But I walked in there anyway. And all of a sudden, all those fears, all those things that people had said to me were not real. All of a sudden, I found out that it was just another world I had to adjust to, become part of, experience, and go through. And I can stay here today and tell you for 3 hours all the different experiences in the course of my journey in life. I guess that's one of the beautiful things you experience by being old. But I'm learning over and over again now that those compartments I talked about in the beginning are compartments we're all going to go through. We've got to go through states of confusion in life. We're going to go through conflict. We're going to go through a process of trying to figure out who we are. We're going to go through a conflict of going through but remember something which is really important. This is not a magical process. Growth is something that takes place a little bit at a time. I remember my first 2 sponsors in my OA program, and I love both of them. And they used to say something to me which is very powerful. They used to say, Vince, if you grow that much today, you have made progress. And I used to joke with them and say, about if I do that much? He said, no, you do that much. A little bit is better. A little bit at a time is better. And everything always kind of goes where it's supposed to go, but it goes in God's time, not in our time. And the ironical part about this was These were the same things my father said to me when I was a kid, but I wasn't ready to hear them. Let me give you a concept of that, which is really important. People have heard me say this before, but I love it. It's almost like we've got to go through these stages in life. We have to go through them, not knowing where we're going. That's the fun part about life. But I'm no different than you. I got my compulsions. I got my addictive personality. I got my strange behaviors. And the bottom line is I keep trying to figure it out. I want to figure out where things are going to be 10 years from now. Oh, good God. If I try to figure that one out, I'm in trouble. So the concept is I'm learning everything happens in compartments. And basically we adjust accordingly. If things don't work out the way we thought they were going to work out, then basically we adjust accordingly. We adjust to where we have to go, but it takes time to do that adjustment. And that adjustment is a process we have to take part in. So many beautiful things happen in life when they happen simultaneously, when they happen, just happen. I've learned that some of the greatest things I've experienced just happened. The things I try to control and make happen usually don't happen because I'm pushing them too hard, I'm working on them too hard. So I'm learning today that less is better. I'm learning to slow things down. I'm learning to really enjoy the little experiences in life. In the program, they even say this. They say progress, not perfection. I think so many of us get caught up in the concept of trying to do things perfectly. Do me a favor, please. Don't be perfect. That means you're really sick. Don't try to be perfect. Remember, we're human beings, and we're going to make mistakes. We're going to go through changes. That's why I did that reading today, because I really believe that mistakes are a gift. That things we go through in life, experiences are a gift, and that sometimes in the course of a given day, we're going to screw up. Screw-ups are wonderful. They're teachable moments, the ways in which we experience different things in the course of our journey in life. And that's what's important, because going through this process of learning and growing is the most important thing we have to do in the course of our journey. And I've learned over and over again that if I continue to do this and work on this, then a little bit at a time, things will be exposed to me. They'll become real. I'll begin to realize what I have to do, and I'll move forward. I have a tendency so many times to drive my board of directors crazy, drive my director crazy, and I love it. I can't help it. Because I always tell them at the meetings and everything else, stop worrying. God's in charge. Everything will work out. Do the best you can. Everything will find its way. And miracles do find their way. That's why I believe so deeply that if you have faith and you have trust in life, and you're open to the process, everything will take you where you're supposed to go. Do we do the footwork? Yes. Do we make the mistakes? Yes. Do we go through the changes? Yes. But the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life was to stop trying to control what's going to happen. I, no different than you, I've made some of the greatest plans in the world. And then all of a sudden, they don't work. Probably because they're not supposed to. And it means something new will take its place. And that's why the hardest thing we have to do in life is to let the process of life move you forward, take you where you're supposed to go. Never my wildest dreams did I ever think I'd be married. My wildest dream, I never think I'd have stepdaughters. My wildest dreams, never thought I'd have grandkids. I never thought I'd be doing half the things I'm doing today, because they happen and they come into your life because you learn after a while through faith and through trust. God will send the teachers into your life. He will send the people into our life to help us through our journey. Apply this to what's going on today. Most of us, I'm sure, are in our houses, in our places. Some of us are going to start the process of going back to work. And basically, we're scared. We're going through a lot of changes and a lot of wonderment. What's it going to be like? What's the future going to be like? Where are we going to go? Will we turn into a virtual society? Will things be, worked on computers all the time? Will this become our new life? I don't know. And we're going to have to adjust, that's for sure. But I think sooner or later, a little bit at a time, we're going to have to face reality and then eventually adjust to it. See, I've learned over the years, I call it my formula for life. It's nice to live in a fantasy world, even being home and even not doing anything for a while. It's kind of nice being a fantasy. But sooner or later, you have to be back in touch with reality. And reality is where change takes place. Now, you heard me say this before because I've had the honor over the course of my journey, both as a priest and also now as a non-denominational minister, perform a lot of weddings, a lot of marriages, and I always love young people. I get the biggest kick out of young people. They stand in front of me and they say, I promise to love you the way I love you today to the day I die. That means I have to shoot them before they leave the altar. The minute they turn around and walk down the aisle, they've changed already. And then the invaders come along. They're called children, by the way. And things change again. Things are always moving. They're always developing. And so therefore, I've got to be able to go with the process and go with it and realize the fact that whatever happens to be, whatever's going to be, somehow, some way, we'll be able to handle it. I don't know about you, but I have this thing here. See this thing up here? It's called my head. I call it the sick place, the crazy place. And one of the things I do a lot of times is I have a tendency, a lot of times to look at this crazy thing and begin to realize the fact that I think I have answers to stuff. I'm looking for the answer to everything. I realize after a while, this thing confuses me. So when I keep stuff up here and try to do it on my own and do it by myself, it doesn't work. That's why it's so important for me to be able to realize the fact I can't do it alone. I need people in my life. I need to be able to share stuff with other people. That's why I'm grateful for all of you, because you're family. We're connected to one another. We're part of one another. Now, each one of us is so special and beautiful. Each one of us is part of the journey. Each one of us is working together. We're family. And family is bigger than just our blood family or a local immediate family. It's the people we're connected to around life. Things are going to begin to work again, and we're going to go through a lot of changes, and we're going to experience a lot of different things that are going to happen. And that's all part of the journey. We're going to have to realize the fact that we're going to have to kind of go with it and go with the flow and see where it leads us, what direction it takes us. But that's okay, because I really believe very deeply in the concept of faith. I believe in the concept of love. Let me tell you another great story, and this is especially for the younger ones in here. And I say it because I really believe it. I tell people this all the time. A long time ago, I was 20 years old. Now, you may find it hard to believe this. My grandson's on here. I'm looking at his face right now, and he's at that age bracket. So I'm kind of, Bryce, I'm telling you about this. At 20 years old, I had the answers to everything. Isn't that amazing? I knew everything. You couldn't tell me a damn thing. I had it all put together, how life was going to be, got it all organized, all put together, and then something happened. I turned 30. When I turned 30, I found out there weren't any answers. But before I found that out, I discovered the questions. At age 30, all of a sudden, the questions start popping up. Then at 40, I found out there weren't any answers. Isn't that wonderful? There are no real answers to life. I can't explain life. I wish I could. I make myself about $18 million if I could explain life. Life is this wonderful adventure that we're on. And in the adventure, the secret of life is to continuously keep the process of growing, of experiencing. And then when I got to 50, I didn't really care. I got to 60, let it all hang out. Let's have some fun now. 70, hey, come on. You don't worry about too much anymore. And now in 23 days, I'll hit number 80. Then I'm really going to have some fun. But the bottom line is that's what life is supposed to be. It's supposed to be something that we have sadness, we have laughter, we have fun. We have all different types of mixtures and things going on in the course of our journey in life. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a process. And as a result, then, every experience, everything we've gone through in the course of our journey in life, every experience is something beautiful and special. Even those things that are sad, that are painful, things we have to go through, because how can you grow? I mean, many of us have gone to a gym, and in the gym, they have that big sign that hangs up on the wall. It says, no pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. Well, guess what? I agree with it. Because really, in reality, to really move forward and keep growing, you're going to struggle. You're going to go through some struggles and some pain. You're going to go through some changes. That's what's so beautiful about this growth process in life. And today I have a lot of gratitude. I'm open to realize the fact that only with gratitude can I look at everything that I've experienced in my life and look at it through the eyes of gratitude. Can you look back on even those people I've lost in the course of my journey? When you get to my age, guess what? I go to the memorial wall at Starting Point. I look at people there, my first sponsor, way back in 1975. People I've experienced over the years, and I've lost a lot of them. In fact, I was joking with a good friend of mine today that for years and years and years, I've courted the elders. I love the elders, especially in the old time AA program, some of the beautiful things they taught me. But then I realized something. Most of the elders are gone, but their principles are still here. Then somebody said to me, well, now, Vince, you're an elder. I said, thank you. All of a sudden now, I became one of them. And all of a sudden now, all I can do is share the things that have worked for me. I can share my experiences. I can share things that have occurred. But I realized the fact that I don't want to stop growing. Growth is such a gift. Growth is something we have to experience a little bit at a time. Growth comes through a sense of faith. To continue growing means you're moving forward. You're opening up to new things and new directions in life. But I'm no different than you. I try to control everything. I can remember with this whole technology thing. I said, no, not me. I'm not going to do it. And look at me today. I got an Android. I'm doing the stuff I'm doing today. I fought Zoom, and now all of a sudden I love Zoom. Isn't it amazing how we fight things and battle things, and then finally we adjust to them? And now I love them. I love this part of life today. I love the things I'm experiencing today. Things I have fought and battled for so long, all of a sudden, they make sense. And I realized that, we live in, the world changes, things change. You can't go back the way it was. You can't go back. I mean, I can relate back to the 1940s when I was born and I came into this world. We didn't even have heat in our house. We had a coal stove. We had an ice box. Terms today that many young people don't even know what I'm talking about. And today, I'm glad I have heat. I'm glad that we have what we have today. But we can't take it for granted. We have to learn to appreciate it, to love it, and also to share it. And that's why it's so important to realize the fact that if you don't share the gifts of yourself, you don't share who you are with others, you'll never get back 100-fold. So growth is a constant process. I don't want to get to a stage in my life where I've got it all together. That means I'm probably dead. I don't want to get there. I realize today, I hope I learn something new every day, discover things every day, and experience things every day. But I'm learning to listen to others. The wisdom comes from the situations and people around you. I'm learning to be open to new things and new directions. And I'm learning that this gift of personal growth is so powerful. This gift of spiritual growth is so powerful. This gift of learning to acknowledge your limitations and things of that effect is so beautiful and so special. And the biggest thing is try not to be somebody you're not. Try to celebrate the gift of yourself every day. I'm realizing over and over again now in the course of my own journey that these are the beautiful things that make life what it is. And you're going to have a lot of pitfalls. You're going to have a lot of things you have to face. You're going to run into a lot of walls. But the bottom line is the wall will go away if you have the strength, you have the courage just to face it, to learn from it, to grow from it, and discover something more about yourself as a person. And to do that, you got to have what I call the magical 3 things of life. You have to learn how to both love yourself and love others. Love is such a gift. It's an energy God has given us. We have to learn to love ourselves and love others. If you do everything out of the act of love, everything falls together. We have to learn to laugh at yourself at least once a day. Come on, give yourself a break, will you? Look at some of the crazy, insane things that we do. Isn't it fun? It's amazing. You look back on it. And you sometimes you got to look back at life and you say, did I do that? I love that Family Matters, Urkel, when he says that all the time. Did I do that? I've said it many times. Look back on my own life. When I wrote my history of my life, I look back on some of the things I did when I was going through my transition, going through my change. You're looking at somebody who went through his adolescence in those stages, in his 30s and 40s. I had to do all kinds of crazy stuff. I spent a lot of time being angry at things. I spent a lot of time blaming other people for what was going on. A lot of times I wanted other people to change. We do it now in our society. I want society to change. I want them to tell me what to do. No. Change comes from the bottom, comes from inside of you, comes within your spirit and your heart. And that's what's important. We have to ask ourselves today, can I grow just a little bit more today? Can I experience something different today? And today is what it's really all about. Because literally, we don't have to make tremendous progress today. Are you enjoying your day today? Are you enjoying the people around you? Even the ones that are driving you crazy. And when you're home with a lot of people for a long period of time, they can drive you crazy. At the same time, it's okay. It's what it's really all about. But it's the little things. It's having a sense of faith. But above all, we have to learn. We have to learn to laugh. And we have to learn how to love. And we have to learn to be able to look at things in a different way. We have to learn how to live. Life is such a gift. Can't take it for granted. I said that back in the first talk. It's such a gift. Everything else can be dealt with one way or another. We can work through things in life. Each one of us is exactly who we are supposed to be. We're not an accident. We're not a mistake. Each one of us is exactly where we're supposed to be at this point of the journey in our life. Each one of us has a lot of gifts. But I'm telling you right now, you can fight things and battle things, but they work. Let me tell you a story. I like stories. I can't help it. But I want to go back to the year 1985. And I got to remember this and never forget this till the day I die. I was giving a talk at Malvern Institute in Pennsylvania at the rehab, because I used to go out there twice a month and give talks to the general community. I finished my talk and I had sat down in the cafeteria and I was having a cup of coffee with one of the ladies that came to my lectures all the time. And never met her before. Her name was Annie. We sat there, had a cup of coffee, and we're just talking. And I was really upset. I said, I'm so sick and tired of everybody telling me I have to write a book. I don't know how to write a book, and I have no way of knowing how to write it. But I was always fighting that battle and battling it. And I said, Annie, one day I'm going to ask somebody to tape my lectures. We had tapes back then, by the way. To tape my lectures, transcribe them, and give them to me. And Annie said to me, she said, Vince, I did it already. I said, you what? I'm coming to your lectures. I taped them. I go home and type them on my computer. So the next week, she brought in the manuscript for my first book. You talk about miracles. I fought and battled writing the book. God sent this lady who I never met before in my life to sit down and have a cup of coffee with me and to tell me she did my manuscript for my first book. And all of a sudden, things began to happen. See, it's that fear of doing something that people say you have the gift to do, but you're scared to do it. The fear that I'm going to fail at it. The fear to make a mistake. And once God opens the door, and he did, I'll be grateful to her for the rest of my life. Once God opens that door, you never know where it's going to lead. I mean, today, good God, I do a lot of writings. I enjoy writing. I'm enjoying all kinds of things today. I've learned the gift of writing, and it goes back to what I learned so many times, that if you work through stuff, things happen. It's almost like we have this powerful, powerful energy inside of every one of us. And we need something to just open the door to get the growth started. Once that growth starts, once it begins to move forward, you can't stop it. It's so beautiful. And that's why, do me a favor, please. I got to tell myself this every day when I say my prayers and meditation in the morning. Help me, God, to let go of control. Help me to move forward. Help me to realize the things that are important in life. Help me to realize how special life is. Teach me the importance of being around others and being connected to others. Teach me to realize that every human being in my life is special. And so in a very special way, I want to share just a couple closing things with you. This is the first day of the rest of our lives. Let's try our best to do the best we can for today. What tomorrow's going to bring, we don't know, and it's okay. Just have to see and where it goes. I still remember a lady coming into my office and saying this to me. She said, Vince, what's going to happen to starting point if you die? I said, how the hell do I know? I'll be dead. I can't predict anything like that. And the bottom line is you can't predict life. So where's things going to go? They're going to go where they're supposed to go. Try to be open to that today. Try to celebrate the things that are going on in your life today, the little things. Take time for yourself. Take time to laugh. Take time to love who you are. Take time to celebrate yourself today. Take time to celebrate the little things around you. Have a sense of gratitude for the people that have come into your life that have helped you to grow. Have a sense of gratitude for all the things that you've experienced in your life. And just try your best to realize the fact that God's running the ball game. I have that beautiful thing in my office that was given to me by somebody who's on here with me today. And it says, stop being a backseat driver. God's driving the car. Leave him the hell alone. I love that. And realize the fact that if you're open, God will leave you where you're supposed to go. Whatever your belief happens to be, it's wonderful. Celebrate it. Be in touch with it. And realize the fact that the journey really is all about. And so I have a lot of gratitude today for every one of you. So I want to kind of close this out today with a prayer, because I really believe that prayer is the greatest gift that will help us in our process of growth. Let us pray. God, we come before you as a family. We come before you as human beings and as people. We thank you for bringing us into this world. We ask you, God, that you help us every day in our journey in life to realize that you are there, you are a guide. Teach us to realize the fact that hopefully we can learn something new today. Send the teachers into our life. Please, God, teach us to appreciate the little things that we have, the little things that are around us, to appreciate who we are, to appreciate the fact that you created us, that you've given us a gift. Teach us to realize the fact that so many times in life we're going to experience roadblocks. Don't be afraid to face them. Eventually you can work through them. Help us to let go of trying to be in control. Help us just to realize the fact we only can do what we can do. And also remember to release our fears. Fears really do not exist, God. Fears are things that we put in barriers in front of ourselves so we can walk through them. Whatever your fears are today, walk through them to the best of your ability. Allow the process of life to take place, God. Please help us with this. You are our guide. You are our strength. You are our direction. I pray every day in the course of my journey that you're able to help us. I'm grateful today for the people that have gone before us, for all the great teachers, both I've experienced in my life and all of you have experienced in your life. Try to learn the lessons from them and move forward. Thank you, God, for allowing us to make mistakes, because from mistakes, we learn something new. It's all part of the journey. But above all, help us to embrace our humanness. So as a family, we pray this and we ask this in your name. Amen. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. It's been an honor and it's been a privilege to be with you. I love you guys. I can't help it, because basically you are my family. And I love being around my family, because I've learned of the hundreds of people I've met over the course of my journey in life. We're all family. We're all part of one another. We're connected. So I'm sending a big one out to all of you. Okay, if I was here, I'd give you a hug. I wish I could, but here's a virtual hug. What can I tell you? hug a teddy bear, hug something. Make sure you do it.
Love you, Vince. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Vince.
Thank
Vince.
you.
That was
Hey,
Vince.
love
Love
you.
you.
Stay healthy.
Thanks, Vince.
Good for you.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe, please.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Vince.
We need you around.
It was amazing.
Years.
And that's